If there's ever been a golden window to jump into the gun world, I'd say it's right now. Prices are sliding lower, shelves are fully stocked, and most shops are a lot quieter than usual. If someone asked me whether summer of 2025 is a smart time to buy their first firearm, I'd say absolutely. This is the best opportunity we've seen since back in 2020. Dealers have plenty of inventory in different calibers, barrel lengths, and setups. And for once, inflation hasn't hit this part of the market like it has everywhere else. In fact, firearms are one of the few consumer goods actually trending down in price instead of going through the roof. Meanwhile, the cost of everyday life? Out of control. I'm watching gas and grocery prices climb faster than a match-grade bolt in full auto. Just last week, my wife and I took the kids out to a simple family restaurant, nothing fancy, and the bill landed north of $200. That's absurd. For that same amount of money, I could have picked up a dependable used 9mm pistol from a local shop. Says a lot, doesn't it? What's really interesting is the shift we're seeing. People aren't buying guns in large numbers anymore. They're selling them. That creates an incredible chance for anyone looking to expand their collection or find a dependable everyday carry. Right now, you can get pre-owned pistols in excellent condition for up to 40% less than what they cost brand new. Of course, some folks will say, prices are still high around here. And yeah, I get that. Local markets don't always reflect national trends. But the guy who wants to sell me his hunting land for 5 times what he paid in the 90s isn't going to win that argument when it comes to second-hand guns. That's just not how this market works right now. Take a Glock 19 Gen 5 as an example. If you bought it new last year, the retail price probably bumped up slightly with inflation. But if you try to sell it now, the second that pistol lands in the used case, you're not seeing anything close to full retail. Glock holds its value better than most, sure, but even that isn't immune. And if you're talking about a Sig Sauer P3 or something similar, that resale gap gets even wider. You're seeing used prices drop further, even on relatively new models. That's great news if you're a buyer, it means real savings. But for sellers, not so much. And that's the disconnect we're seeing. Folks walk in with good condition firearms, expecting to walk out with top dollar. But current market conditions just don't support those kinds of numbers. It's not personal, it's just business. If you are looking to sell though, don't be afraid to get a few offers. One shop might lowball you, another might be more fair. But don't expect top-tier offers over the phone or from a few pictures online. I'm not buying a used gun without looking it over in person. Same as I wouldn't buy a used truck or rifle scope without checking it firsthand. Truth is, a lot of people are living in tighter spaces these days, renting small places, downsizing but still keeping full gun safes. That's the American way right now. Small apartment, big collection. It's how we roll. I said this in a previous video, but it bears repeating. Firearms are one of the only products out there right now that are actually getting more affordable. Everything else, groceries, rent, fuel, is shooting up faster than a competition pistol slide. Just the other night, my family went out for burgers and fries, and the bill came out to more than $200. That's not a steakhouse. That's just real life. Meanwhile, the price on a solid handgun has gone down. And that really says something about where we're at. Right now, in the heart of summer 2025, we're finally seeing something rare in this economy. Firearms, especially used ones, are actually coming down in price. And honestly, that's a breath of fresh air. Now sure, I can already hear the folks in the comments saying, well, not where I live, or prices just jumped again at my local shop. And hey, I get it, regional differences are real. But let's turn it around for a second. If I offered you the same price for your land that you paid 2 decades ago, you'd probably think I was joking. That's the same flawed reasoning a lot of people use when they try to sell a pre-owned firearm at full sticker price. Doesn't work like that anymore. When it comes to brand new guns, prices have been surprisingly reasonable given how inflation's been hammering everything else, groceries, rent, you name it. But the real deals are showing up in the used market. That's where the smart buyers are looking. If you're trying to sell, though, you're playing a different game altogether. Let's break down an example. Maybe you bought yourself a brand new Glock 19 Gen 5 sometime last year. With inflation factored in, sure, it might have ticked up a little in cost. But now that it's technically a used firearm, you'll be lucky to recoup 60% of what you originally spent, sometimes even less. Now, I'll be fair, Glocks tend to hold their value better than most. They're consistent, reliable, and they've built a strong name for themselves. Still, with a few models getting phased out, that opens another discussion we'll save for a future video. Now, let's look at something like the Sig Sauer P320. Brand new. It's still fetching solid retail. But on the secondhand side, most sellers are getting back barely 40% of what they paid. That's a steep drop. Good news for a buyer, but if you're trying to sell, that kind of hit can sting. Look, I'm not here to trash anybody's expectations, I'm just calling it like I see it. The current market is what it is. If you're looking to offload a firearm, don't just take the first offer. Shop it around. But understand this, if you walk into my store expecting top dollar without me ever seeing the piece, we're going to have a problem. I don't make offers off a blurry cell phone photo. I've got to get hands on it, check the condition, maybe even field strip it. Same deal as with buying a used vehicle or optic. I've got to know what I'm working with. And speaking of condition, it matters a lot. Firearms that bring the highest prices in the used market are the ones that still have everything they shipped with. I'm talking the original box, manuals, factory lock, manufacturer magazines, and any cleaning tools. If you've got the original cardboard sleeve with the serial numbers still intact, even better. Whether it's a Smith & Wesson M&P, a Springfield Armory rifle, or something else, if you bring it in complete and clean, I'll pay you what it's worth. But if someone rolls in with a beat-up old Ruger that's been sliding around under the seat of a truck since the Obama years and thinks it's still worth showroom pricing, yeah, that's a hard pass. Condition counts. Completeness counts. I always tell folks, bring in everything you've got that came with the gun. Even extras like an aftermarket holster or a couple of extra mags can tip the deal in your favor. Now, let's shift gears to ammunition for a second. One thing that surprises folks is that shops like mine can't legally or ethically buy opened or previously owned ammo from private individuals. There's just too much that can go wrong. We don't know how it was stored, if moisture got into the powder, or if someone unknowingly tampered with it. So no, I'm not buying your half-used box of 9mm or those handful of 22 long rifle rounds that have been sitting in a coffee can since the Bush administration. As for second-hand firearms, a good shop will always run them through a full check. At mine, trained staff or a certified gunsmith will inspect every used gun we sell. And if a buyer comes back with an issue, we'll stand behind it. We want folks to trust their local dealers, and we'll do right by you if you give us a shot. Here's the bottom line. If you're in the market to buy a used firearm, now's the time. There are real deals to be had. But if you're trying to sell, you need to come in with realistic expectations. This isn't 2020 or 2021 anymore. We're not in the middle of a panic buy. Know what your firearm is worth today, not what it was worth when shelves were empty. Come in informed. Bring the complete setup, and we'll do our best to make sure you leave satisfied. At the moment, what we're seeing in the gun world is a pretty typical seasonal slump. Summer usually brings a slowdown in sales, nothing surprising there. But what is interesting is that, despite the drop in demand, production from the big names might actually be a bit higher than usual. My gut tells me manufacturers were pushing out more guns toward the end of 2024. Likely expecting a sales surge that never quite materialized. Now, that extra inventory is starting to show up on shelves. Now look, part of that is just my observation, but the numbers do seem to back it up. Even with demand softening, certain firearms are still tough to track down, especially those small batch runs or dealer-exclusive models. These aren't the kind of guns you find at just any store. We're talking limited builds that get commissioned by major distributors like Taylor's, Lipsy's, Davidson's Gallery of Guns, or even Guns.com. These folks work directly with manufacturers, think Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Savage, and order custom versions that are sold exclusively through their channels. So when you're scrolling through Ruger's website and spot something labeled Lipsy's exclusive or Davidson's exclusive, now you know what that means. Those particular builds were never intended for mass distribution. They were part of a specialty contract, often produced in smaller numbers. And because of that, finding one can be a bit of a waiting game. Sometimes there's just no telling when or even if your local shop will be able to get one back in stock. That brings us to where we are now, middle of summer, 2025. If you're looking for a solid, dependable firearm that isn't tied to a special production run, this is a great time to make your move. There's good value out there, especially if you're willing to consider gently used pieces. Even new production models are fairly priced right now. Sure, inflation has nudged some prices up, but it's still nothing like the sticker shock we've been seeing in other industries. Now, the one group that might hit a snag? Collectors and enthusiasts chasing those harder-to-find models. If you're after a unique variant, or one of those distributor-specific configurations, you've got two options. You can sit tight and wait for one to become available through your dealer. Could take weeks, could take months, or you can start hunting online. Just be ready to shell out a bit more. Let's face it, if someone picked one up at wholesale and knows buyers are eager, they're likely listing it above retail. That's the nature of the game when supply is tight and demand stays strong. So what's the bottom line? If you're willing to play the long game, you might snag that unicorn gun at a reasonable price. But if you need it now, be ready to open your wallet. Rare pieces don't come cheap, especially in a soft market where the common stuff is easy to get. Still, the upside is clear. The gun market is stable. There's plenty to choose from. Whether you're in the market for a straightforward range pistol, a solid hunting rifle, or a rare collector's piece, this is a great time to browse. So, get out there, hit the range, run your gear, and most importantly, spend that time with the people who matter. We appreciate you tuning in as always. Be safe, shoot straight, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care, y'all.